Don't look now, but Oregon is starting to become tight end U? In reality, that title likely belongs to the likes of Iowa, Miami, and Notre Dame. But Oregon has consistently started to develop NFL caliber tight ends over the last couple of years, including the likes of Terrence Ferguson and Kenyon Sadiq. And now Jamari Johnson is the next up with the Ducks, who is starting to look like a potential first-round pick. A four-star high school recruit out of Inglewood, California, Johnson was selected to the high school All-American game before committing to Louisville, where he spent his first 2 seasons at the college football level. Johnson then transferred to Oregon in 2025 and saw modest production playing behind Sadiq, catching 32 passes for 510 yards and 3 touchdowns. Despite not being the preferred tight end in Oregon's offense, Johnson's efficiency still stood out, ranking 4th in the country among qualified tight ends in both yards per route run and yards after the catch per reception. Some of Johnson's best football came during the college football playoff, so to show you why he's already generating first-round buzz, we're going to dive into those 3 games in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and give us a follow on socials at BestAvailableYT. Huge shout out to all of our members, including a new one with just a phenomenal name, Clay Matthews Hare. Thank you for becoming a member and supporting us. Just $2.99 a month. Not only are you supporting the channel and helping it grow, but you're also getting full access to my NFL Draft Big Board. And if you're watching this video, you're probably a huge draft fan. You get full notes, grades, rankings. I'm filling that out as I'm watching players in real time, so you can see that big board kind of grow over the course of the season. So again, a really nice way to help support the channel. I'll leave details to that in the episode description, so go ahead and check that out. But let's go ahead and dive into the Johnson tape, because there is a very strong likelihood that this will be the first tight end taken off the board in the 2027 draft. Tight end can be such a tricky watch because you're looking for a bunch of things. You know, a tight end has to be kind of a jack of all trades and a master of all of them if you really want to stand out. Like, you know, you got to be able to move in space, you got to be an effective route runner, create separation, make guys miss after the catch, and also be a damn good blocker, whether it's in line, kind of like an offensive lineman, or pulling, you know, like a tight end, like a wide receiver, like a fullback. So you got to do a little bit of everything. And what I like about Johnson is he does have the frame to absolutely do all of these things at 6'5" and 257 pounds. So we're going to start with a little blocking action. We're going to have Johnson right here lined up next to Kenyon Sadiq, who was a first-round pick this past year. Just going to pull him in space along with a couple pullers. First snap of the playoff for Oregon, and they're just like, hey, we trust Johnson against James Madison. We think he can get in space and be an effective blocker. I think he does a great job of doing exactly that. So we're pulling him and the tackle. We're cracking or pinning down here with Sadiq. Nice job there. Let me switch the pen color, guys. You know, there we go, because the yellow's not going to stand out too well with these bright Oregon jerseys. But here we go. We got Johnson pulling in space along with that tackle. Johnson feels this correctly. He gets engaged here, does a nice job. Like, what he could try and seal off here, but the worry is if you're over, you know, committing to that outside shoulder, you could potentially let this guy cut inside. We don't want that. So it really just engages here, and he knows, like, now that we're engaged, the entire goal of this defender is to hold outside contain. So we're at least going to keep controlling that, and he does a nice job. Like, just even though he's not controlling that outside shoulder, he's so in that guy's chest, he's so engaged that the defender can't do anything to break off of it, and then it leads to, you know, if there's a little more balance, we're getting an even bigger play there, but I'm not going to be really nitpicky there. But this is nice from Johnson. It's really hard to pull in space and latch onto a defender because they have a two-way go to get around you, or they can run through your chest if you get caught flat-footed. So you got to really make sure you take this on correctly. And I think he takes a good angle. You know, maybe the hands are a little too far outside. You can see that hand on the back there. But that's being nitpicky because he effectively gets in space here, and he basically controls that edge and allows the running back to get around to the outside. That's great effort from a blocker. You know, it's nice to see a guy of his size and his frame be able to move like this in space to make a block. That's very promising for, you know, how you can build out the rest of his portfolio, I guess, if you want to call it, as a blocker. All right, we'll show the end zone angle of this one as well, but we have Johnson in the slot here. Just going to show off some of that speed again. At his size, you'd think more of a big-bodied inline guy can't really move, but I love that they put Johnson. They can put him as a wing out here. They can put him as an inline tight end. They can put him in the slot. You can really kind of move him all over, which I appreciate. You can see him here getting that inside leverage against the zone. This safety, single high safety, is so focused on this receiver to the outside that he's going to lose the seam up this way. And by the time he corrects, I don't know what this coverage is. I think this might be a blown assignment by this safety, just getting caught peeking. But then we have Johnson wide open down the zone, or down the seam, I should say. And just look at that separation speed. Once he breaks down there, he's going, and he's easily winning that foot race with that linebacker. I know it's James Madison, it's a smaller program, but that speed does show up on tape. Let's show the end zone angle of this, because you might have noticed it already, what we might be missing. Look at this snag from Johnson right here. One-handed snag, still hits it in stride, keeps fighting for those extra yards, gets extended, bobbles the ball at the end. The ground causes the fumble, so it's going to stand, but extends. Great effort. Love the one-handed snag here right there. Just haul that in. The fact that he can, as a tight end, haul that in one-handed, secure it to his body, and not lose stride on the catch, and then fight for that touchdown. That is a phenomenal effort, phenomenal play. Just the kind of plays that just started flashing on tape for me when I turned on Johnson's film. Johnson doesn't get the ball here, but I had to show this play because you can see the fluidity that Johnson has as a route runner. Again, 6'5", 257 pounds. This is a big ass tight end. And when I think of these guys at this frame, I'm thinking of inline guys, but they feel very comfortable with Johnson playing the slot. You're going to see why. He's going to attack the toes of this defender and then just use his fluidity to try and break outside. You're going to watch how he sets up this defender to make sure that he's not giving away what he's doing. He takes that stab inside. You can see the defender trying to react, and then we're going to get closer off his toes, plant on that outside foot, and then break towards the corner right there. And then you can see that separation he creates. Like, guys his size at this position do not move like this. And maybe you're like, oh, you're being dramatic, but like the names you're probably thinking of that can do this are like Sam Laporta's, the Brock Bowers, like elite tight ends, and usually they're a little bit smaller, but Johnson is a legit route runner. I know he doesn't get the ball here, but I wanted to show this play specifically so you can get a better idea of like, hey, this guy can legitimately run routes, and that makes things very interesting for an offense where you have this chess piece that can kind of move all over the field. He's going to go off camera a bit, but you can see Jamari Johnson right here on the top left corner of the screen. He's going to come out of frame and then come back across the middle of the field. And I just want to watch like the fluidity and comfort he has with his catch radius, like catching off target. So we're going to run this route. We've got like a bracket coverage. This linebacker, I believe that's Jacob Rodriguez, reading him and then going to break with him inside. It's a tough throwing window for Dante Moore. Rodriguez turns his eyes. It's a tough window. We got to get over Jacob Rodriguez, who is a ball hawking, peanut punching linebacker. So nice job getting that ball over Rodriguez. And what I appreciate here from Johnson is just the ability to haul that ball in off target. Look at how strong those hands are. As soon as that ball hits his hands, there's no bobbling it. There's no wasted motion. It just sticks there. Underrated trait I appreciate in tight ends, especially more inline guys. Then he turns. Then he lowers his pads and then ends up picking a few more yards after contact from an awkward angle. And I just appreciate this because it's an awkward situation to catch a pass, and you watch it in one fluid motion, just how comfortable he is adjusting from that off-target throw, snagging it so securely, and then lowering those pads for another play. Obviously, good throw by Dante Moore. You got to have some stones to throw over Jacob Rodriguez like that. That's a tough window, maybe slightly off target. I don't care. That's a good enough pass, especially when Johnson has the catch radius he does, and the fluidity to just control his body, adjust to that off-target pass, use that momentum to spin inside, and then pick up a few extra yards after contact. It's why he is one of the top tight ends last year in all of college football, making yards after the catch. Got a couple examples now for you. We saw a bunch of Johnson in the slot against James Madison this game. It's like, all right, They got some really good front seven players at Texas Tech. Let's put Johnson more in line. Let's have him assist in the run game and help block. And this play ultimately isn't successful. Other stuff happens, but what I do appreciate is Johnson's ability as a combo blocker in line. Again, we just showed a bunch of him in the slot and the athleticism he has, but he also has that size and strength too. So we're going to combo block. We're just going to help out this tackle, displace here. So we're going to create some legitimate push to get number 11 out of the way. And then we're going to climb to the second level and find work. Ideal combo blocking technique here. So create some push there. Then we're going to climb up to 13 and engage. Because this play ends up spilling outside, 13 is going to react by spilling outside. So we're going to lose our engagement here a little bit, but we're going to hold on. And as he tries to get off, we're going to keep those pads low. And we're just kind of try and toss him, get him off balance. We do a great job of that. Another defender ends up coming in and making this, a bust of a play. But I still had to show this because I think this is an important example of a good combo block. Like, you got to create some push this way to open up the gap, especially when we have polars like we're about to here. We have two blockers coming across the formation. We want to create some kind of gap, right? So by creating that combo block, man, we almost have a seal here. It's just a shame this ends up getting spilled outside. Great closeout by number 7 on Texas Tech as well. But I like the combo block here. It's good to see him, how comfortable he is not only generating that push at the initial set, but then climbing up to the second level. And then as that guy tries to get off of him and spill outside, just giving him a little shove to get him off balance. All of that is good. Like, he is not right now the most technically sound blocker. His hands can be too outside. He's kind of just throwing his body at times. But the effort, fluidity, size, strength are all there. If we can refine the technique, man, he's going to be a dangerous, dangerous blocker at the NFL level. Another good example of a combo block by Jamari Johnson right here. And this time he's not really going to, climb to the second level. This is David Bailey, top 5 pick this past year in the draft. They're just going to combo block David Bailey right here, these two, and they're just going to keep driving him. And I love Johnson just kind of sticks with it. And look how much they push back. Again, top tier blue chip prospect. Sorry, I wouldn't personally call him a blue chip prospect. I know some did. But regardless, like, combo block, and look at them just drive him back. He's trying to anchor down. We end up pushing him, pretty far downfield, create a nice seam for the running back and get, a good chunk of yards out of it. Like, this is a solid run because the tackle and Johnson create so much push at the line of scrimmage. Really enjoy that, that they're just able to displace Bailey. And then they just keep moving their feet through contact. It's one of my big pet peeves with, especially bigger bodied tight ends. They just kind of want to like wrestle, manhandle. Johnson keeps his legs moving throughout this block. Just kind of watch chug, 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 chug. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. They end up caving that entire, our left side of the play. Let me rewind it. Because number 6 and 31 end up getting caved in here by these 3 blockers. Ends up, kind of just letting the running back follow behind them and get a solid chunk of yards. I enjoyed this play. It's nice to know that we have a couple examples, of Johnson being able to play in line and be an effective blocker. All right, now we've got Bailey, wide 9 alignment, trying to go, around us is the tight end in pass pro. And we're just going to, delayed release this. So we're going to widen out and, theoretically try chip. Maybe I'd like a little bit more of a chip here, but if we're going to be a quick release, he gets out, just gets the dump off pass. Then we're going to see a little elusiveness from him. Open field, make a defender miss, ends up getting some extra yards. I know it's a little check down, but I like the delayed release. It's a good plan of attack against Bailey, who's just trying to fly upfield, get pressures and sacks, pass, throw a pass behind him. But I just love that little move from Johnson to make a defender miss. Because Johnson didn't have a lot of volume. We're only talking 32 catches last year, but 7 forced missed tackles. This is nothing to sneeze at. I'm excited to see with likely, a bigger volume or a bigger workload in 2026. Imagine that missed tackles force number is going to go up because he's got a little elusiveness to his game on top of the size and strength. Solid block here in space, but I wanted to also just show how coordinated and aware Johnson is. Again, there's a notion, if you're like 6'5", 250 plus, I'm thinking big, kind of uncoordinated giraffe, especially when I see his frame, he's just so long-legged. You are really thinking him to be a little bit awkward and stiff, but he's just absolutely not those things as a tight end. He's going to climb to the second level. He's going to seal off number 13 and just wash him out that way. So, that's a great job. That's exactly what we don't want to do because the running back can cut off of this block. Because not only is he blocking 13, but now he's getting 7 in the way. 7's muddied up. So great job displacing. The running back's going to cut off of Johnson's butt here because it's such an effective block. But that's not why I wanted to show this play. Yeah, he does seal the block for a touchdown. It's the awareness here while engaging with a blocker to avoid tripping up his own running back. You're going to see it's going to be really quick. I don't have a way to slow this down, but you're going to see him like jump his feet in front of him to avoid tripping up his own running back right there. Let me rewind it and try and show it again. But we got Johnson right here as a reminder. Just watch as the running back gets close. He's already engaged in washing out this number 13. He's going to just hop forward to avoid tripping up his own running back. That's an impressive level of coordination while engaged with the blocker, but also just a killer block to set this up. Does such a nice job of sealing off his defender, getting in the way of another, and ending up, good read by the running back as well, but just to seal that touchdown. I just love that we showed a bunch of inline blocking. Then we also have him, separated from the offensive line and blocking the second level in space. The fact that he can do both of those things on top of being a legit pass catching option is what makes him a legit 3-down. I tend to separate tight ends into either Ys, inline guys, or Fs, like slots, and he really does do both very effectively. We got a few from the Indiana game to wrap up. I know this game didn't go the way Oregon wanted to, and selfishly, I can't complain as an IU grad. But Johnson, even when I was watching this game, I was like, who is this other tight end Oregon has? He's making some real plays. We've got him in the slot. I will show the end zone angle as well, because you're going to see how the DBs communicate on this, but we're just going to run a stick and nod. So initially look like an outbreaker, then cut back up the seam. They're going to essentially bracket and communicate the slot here. So we're reading. You can see this linebacker is reading like, hey, is he carrying up the seam? Is he breaking in or is he breaking out? And we're going to see that initial outbreak. And then you're going to see the linebacker like, all right, he's outbreaking. I don't think he's my assignment anymore. I need to watch the quarterback's eyes. You can see where he's looking. So now he's just going to go into a normal zone drop. And that's a nice job by Oregon understanding that's what they're trying to do here. And then, because of that outbreaking, the linebacker loses his eyes up the seam. Johnson ends up carrying up, and then way too late for the linebacker to react, and we get a touchdown. Let's show it one more time in full, just so you can get a feel of that full touchdown route. So again, Johnson in the slot. We're going to see that outbreaker there, and then nod back up the seam. Get that, gets a little bit extended for the play. Let me show the end zone angle so you can see the defense communicating about this. All right, so the ball is snapped. You see immediately eyes are turned towards number 2. We're watching if number 2 breaks inside, up the seam, or out breaking. So that's the entire responsibility of this linebacker. Sees the outbreak, and you can see him immediately react. Eyes turn. He's pointing like, hey, that's your responsibility now. He's out breaking. So he's like, good communication by the linebacker. I'll give him credit. It's just the route ends up really screwing him over on his assignments. He's watching the QB's eyes now because of the outbreaker, and then it ends up getting thrown right behind him, has to turn. That's rough, but that's a great play design. That's good film. Like, clearly, Oregon prepped for this, knowing the responsibilities in situations like this for the linebacker. We end up getting a play out of it. And Johnson, man, he could just fly up that seam. When you watch this is legit speed from Johnson back to the other angle. Just the speed to carry up that seam that quickly, explode out of that break, get that touchdown. Really, really nice play from Johnson. This is a 2-point conversion, but still an awfully nice play from Johnson. One of those guys, we don't have him in the slot this time. We just have him solo receiver to the boundary or the short side of the field. There's no safety help over the top. It's just one-on-one right here. Let's just throw a fade to the big guy. How is he going to respond to this? Inside release on the fade makes me a little nervous because, we can potentially have this DB jump it. He's got inside leverage, so we really got to throw over the top here. But Johnson, look at that extension there. I know it's a little blurry, but look at how high those arms are. Gets all the way stretched out with the guy draped over him. Hauls that one in. That is a hell of a play. May only be a 2-point conversion, but that's a big play for this offense needing to get some kind of juice going after a touchdown. Just to get all the way extended through traffic against, Pons is tiny, but that's one hell of a cornerback. And they read the mismatch and they said, let's just chuck it up to our big ass tight end. And, he has the body control, athleticism, coordination to haul that in. That's an impressive catch. Last one for the day, very similar to that Texas Tech play against David Bailey. We're going to feign pass pro against the outside rush. Then we're just going to release after a chip. So it's just a quick dump off. And then we get to see what Johnson can do on these plays after the catch. Makes a defender miss. He's not done. You can see he cuts upfield again, but then he plants on that foot. Cuts again. That is a hell of a cut from a nearly 260-pound tight end. Then he cuts up field and he gets a big play out of this. Stiff arm at the end, so close to a touchdown, but gets all the way down there. Tremendous effort from the guy just on a dump off pass to be like, all right, let me go be an athlete and make a play in space. Better chip this time, makes a little bit more contact to slow down that pass rusher. Just love the way he can plant those feet. His agility for a guy of his size, like guys this big should not be able to cut like this, and that just makes it all the more impressive. We did a film breakdown earlier this week on Trades Green, the 6'7" alien out of LSU, who had a bunch of highlight, exciting, jump ball catches and tons of exciting stuff like that. But what I love about Johnson, and maybe this doesn't make for the most exciting video, he does everything well, and like that's what I like. Inline blocking, blocking in space, playing in the slot, playing on fades on the outside. Like he is a true chess piece for an offense. And with an offense like Oregon's, I'm really excited to see what it's like when he's more of a focal point in it this year. I have big expectations for him. I think Green's the more exciting of the two prospects we talked about this week. But I think as far as being a more well-rounded, immediately pro-ready guy, Johnson already looks the part. And any kind of step forward in 26, man, like he could be a top first round pick. Really excited about Johnson. Honestly think he's more of a well-rounded prospect than Kenyon Sadiq was, and I really liked Sadiq. So what do you think about Johnson? Let me know in the comments. Really hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back next week. We have an interview, hopefully dropping on Monday. I believe we're talking to him tomorrow. Excited to share that one with you. Another tight end. We're just a little late on it, but how schedules go. I think he's one of the coolest stories in college football. So really excited to have a guest on to talk some film. So enjoy that on Monday. We're going to talk some offensive line a little bit next week. And then I am out of town the following week, but I'll have some videos scheduled. We'll have some fun ones, especially around 4th of July weekend. And go Team USA today. I'm wearing the USA shirt representing today. Big game against Australia. I love the other football. It is so nice to be able to watch something I don't have to think tactically on and just kind of enjoy the ride. So hope you guys enjoy the game today. Enjoy the day off for Juneteenth. Thank you so much for watching the channel and continue to support us. Really appreciate all the love lately. And we will see you next week. Take care.